I always knew the other shoe would drop, but I didn't expect it to happen over Mom's mediocre pot roast. My name is Chloe, and I've spent 33 years being the responsible one, the reliable one, the one who'd smile and nod while my younger sister Alyssa drained our family's resources like a sparkly vampire in designer clothes. "We have wonderful news," Mom announced, beaming across the dinner table. She squeezed Dad's hand, and he managed a weak smile that didn't reach his eyes. I recognized that look. It was the same one he wore when Alyssa convinced them to cash out their retirement fund for her revolutionary organic smoothie franchise, the one that lasted 6 months. I stabbed a potato with my fork. Let me guess. Alyssa's starting another business? A luxury spa concept. Alyssa practically bounced in her chair. It's going to be amazing, Chloe. We're talking cutting-edge treatments, celebrity clientele. That's not even the best part, Mom interrupted, her eyes shining. We've decided to sell the house to help with the startup costs. It's such an incredible opportunity. The potato turned to ash in my mouth. You're selling the house? The house you've lived in for 30 years? Well, yes, but it's temporary. Once the spa takes off. If, I corrected automatically. Don't be negative, Mom snapped. Anyway, we've worked it all out. We'll stay with you for a month or two while we look for a new place. Your apartment has that spare room you use as an office, and... I tuned out the rest, nodding mechanically as Mom detailed how they'd rearrange my life to accommodate their latest terrible decision. 20 years of memories flashed through my mind. My college fund borrowed for Alyssa's first failed boutique. My graduation dinner canceled because Alyssa had a networking emergency. The time I needed a co-signer for my first apartment, and they couldn't help because they'd maxed out their credit on her juice bar venture. Chloe? Alyssa's voice cut through my thoughts. You're being weird. Aren't you excited? I plastered on my best fake smile. Of course. When's the move-in date? 2 weeks from Saturday, Dad said quietly, the first words he'd spoken all evening. Perfect. I took a sip of wine to hide my expression. That gives me time to clear out the spare room. Later that night, as I drove home, I called Eleanor. They did what? My best friend's voice crackled through the speakers. Sold their house. For Alyssa's spa fantasy. And they're moving in with me, apparently. Please tell me you're not actually letting this happen. I smiled in the darkness. Remember that studio apartment I looked at last month? The one in the Art Deco building? What about it? I signed the lease 2 weeks ago. I move in next Saturday. Eleanor's laughter filled my car. You brilliant bitch, you knew this was coming? Alyssa's been hinting about her big idea for months. Mom and Dad always follow the same pattern. They throw good money after bad, then expect me to catch them when they fall. Not this time. What are you going to tell them? Nothing. They'll find out when the movers show up. Ice cold, Eleanor said approvingly. But what about your parents? Where will they go? I pulled into my parking spot and killed the engine. That's not my problem anymore. 28 years of cleaning up their messes? And what do I have to show for it? A collection of world's best sister mugs and an ulcer? They're going to lose their minds. Probably. I grabbed my purse and headed for the elevator. But here's the thing. I'm done being the family safety net. They want to bet everything on Alyssa's latest scheme? Fine. But they can do it without my spare room and my savings account. The elevator dinged and I stepped out onto my floor. In my apartment, a stack of moving boxes waited in the corner. I walked to my desk and pulled out the lease paperwork, running my fingers over my signature. My phone buzzed, a text from Mom. Can't wait to help decorate your office. Alyssa has so many great ideas. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my laptop and pulled up the spreadsheet where I'd been tracking every dollar my parents had borrowed over the years. The total made me wince, even now. But soon, it wouldn't matter. In 9 days, I'd be gone, leaving them to face the consequences of their choices without me as their backup plan. The phone buzzed again. This time, it was Preston, my ex. Hey, we need to talk about Alyssa's new business. There's something you should know. I closed my eyes and let out a long breath. Of course, Preston was involved, because this family drama needed one more complicated layer. But that was tomorrow's problem. Tonight, I had packing to do. You're seriously not going to tell them until moving day? Eleanor perched on my kitchen counter, watching me wrap dishes in newspaper. That's deliciously petty. I love it. I prefer to think of it as strategic. I carefully placed a wrapped mug in a box. The moment they know I'm leaving, Mom will launch into full emotional warfare. I can't deal with a week of guilt trips and tears. Speaking of warfare, what did Preston want? I paused, newspaper crackling in my hands. I haven't called him back yet. Chloe. Eleanor's voice had that warning tone she used when I was avoiding something important. If your sleazy ex is involved in Alyssa's business, you need to know what's going on. I know. I reached for another mug, ironically one of those world's best sister ones Alyssa gave me last Christmas. Every time I think about calling him, I remember walking in on him and that bartender. The one from Alyssa's failed tapas restaurant? The very same. I wrapped the mug with perhaps more force than necessary. You know what's funny? When I caught them, he actually tried to blame me, said I was too focused on work and never spontaneous enough. Translation: you had a real job and wouldn't fund his wannabe DJ career. My phone buzzed on the counter. Mom again. Honey, Alyssa and I are thinking of painting the spare room sage green. It'll be so zen. Eleanor read the text over my shoulder and snorted. The audacity. They're redecorating your apartment before they even move in. Classic Mom and Alyssa. I started filling another box. Remember my college graduation party? The one that turned into Alyssa's engagement party? Even though everyone knew that guy was a con artist, Dad tried to warn them, but I trailed off, remembering how quickly Mom had shut down his concerns. That's when I first realized the pattern. It wasn't just about favoring Alyssa, it was about enabling her, and Dad just gave up trying to stop it. My phone rang. Preston's name flashed on the screen. Eleanor raised an eyebrow. Moment of truth. I answered on speaker. What do you want, Preston? Chloe, thank God. His voice had that fake, casual tone I remembered too well. Listen, about Alyssa's spa business. Let me guess, you're involved somehow? I may have helped her secure some investors. Eleanor made a disgusted face. I shared the sentiment. And now you're having second thoughts? I prompted. Look, I know how this sounds, but... He lowered his voice. The numbers don't add up. The business plan she showed your parents? It's different from the one she showed the other investors. I sat down hard on my couch. Different how? I can't say more over the phone. Can we meet? No. The word came out sharp and final. Whatever's going on with Alyssa's business, I'm not getting involved. Your parents invested everything they have. And that was their choice. I could feel Eleanor's approving nod without looking at her. If you're worried about fraud, call the authorities. I'm done cleaning up Alyssa's messes. I hung up before he could respond. Eleanor hopped off the counter. Okay, that was intense. What are you thinking? I'm thinking. I walked to my window, looking out at the city lights. I'm thinking that for the first time in my life, I'm going to let things fall apart without trying to fix them. Good. Eleanor started packing again, her movements precise and determined. Let them deal with their own chaos for once. My phone buzzed with another text. Alyssa this time. OMG sis, wait till you see my vision board for the office. P.S. Can I borrow your printer? Need to run off some investor packets. I showed Eleanor the message. You know what the worst part is? Deep down, I still love them. Even knowing how they've treated me. Even knowing what's probably coming. Some part of me still wants to protect them. That's because you're a good person, Eleanor said firmly. But being good doesn't mean being a doormat. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is let people face the consequences of their actions. I picked up the world's best sister mug and dropped it into the trash instead of the moving box. The ceramic shattered satisfyingly. 9 days, I said, more to myself than Eleanor. 9 days, and I'm free. Free to live your own life, Eleanor agreed. Free to spend your money on yourself. Free to... My phone rang again. Mom's number. I declined the call and turned back to packing. Whatever crisis they were cooking up, whatever scheme was about to implode, it wasn't my problem anymore. For the first time in my adult life, I was choosing myself, and it felt terrifying, and wonderful, and absolutely right. The movers arrived at 7 a.m. sharp. I was already dressed and waiting, my morning coffee growing cold as I watched the minutes tick by. At 7:03, right on schedule, my phone exploded. "Chloe, there are moving trucks outside your building." Mom's voice was shrill. "What's going on?" "Exactly what it looks like." I kept my voice calm. "I'm moving." "Moving? But we're supposed to..." She broke off as the doorbell rang. I opened the door to find not just the movers, but my entire family. Mom, red-faced and still in her robe. Dad, looking like he'd aged 10 years overnight. And Alyssa, clutching a vision board and wearing an expression of pure betrayal. "Let the movers through, please," I said, stepping aside. "This is ridiculous," Alyssa snapped. "You can't move. I already ordered the desk for my office." "Your office?" I raised an eyebrow as the movers began efficiently boxing up my pre-packed items. "You mean my spare room? In my apartment? The one I pay for?" "But Mom and Dad need..." "Nothing from me." I turned to my parents. "You made your choice. You chose to sell your house, to invest in another of Alyssa's schemes. That's your right. But you don't get to volunteer my space as your backup plan." "How can you be so selfish?" Mom's voice cracked. "We're your family." "Funny, I've been your family for 33 years, but that didn't stop you from taking my college fund, or canceling my graduation dinner, or..." "That was different," Alyssa interrupted. "Those were investments in our future." "No," I corrected her. "Those were investments in your future, at my expense, every single time." Dad finally spoke, his voice quiet. "Where are we supposed to go?" For a moment, my resolve wavered. Then I remembered all the times he'd stood by silently while Mom and Alyssa steamrolled over my life. "That's not my problem anymore." I handed the movers another box. "You should have thought about that before selling your house." "This is about Preston, isn't it?" Alyssa's voice turned nasty. "You're just jealous because he's helping with my business now." I laughed, and the sound surprised even me. "Trust me, Preston is the least of my concerns, though you might want to ask him about those different versions of your business plan." Alyssa's face went white. "What different versions?" Dad asked sharply. "Ask your golden child." I checked my watch. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to supervise the move." "You can't do this to us." Mom grabbed my arm. "We're your parents." I gently but firmly removed her hand. "Yes, you are. And I love you. But I'm done being your safety net. I'm done watching you enable Alyssa's schemes while treating me like an ATM with feelings. I'm just... done." "Fine." Alyssa threw her vision board on the floor. "Fine, run away. But don't come crying to us when you're all alone in your sad little studio apartment." "I'd rather be alone than be used." The movers worked around us, professional and discreet as my family drama unfolded. Within an hour, my life was packed into their truck. I did one final walkthrough of the empty apartment. Mom had sunk onto the couch, crying quietly. Dad stood by the window, staring out at nothing. Alyssa was furiously texting someone, Preston probably. "I've left the keys on the counter," I said. "The lease expires in 3 days. You'll need to be out by then." "Where are we supposed to go?" Mom asked again, but this time it wasn't a guilt trip. She sounded genuinely lost. "Maybe ask one of Alyssa's investors to put you up." I shouldered my purse. "Or better yet, ask Alyssa why she showed them a different business plan than the one she showed you." "You're lying!" Alyssa's head snapped up. Preston would never. Goodbye, I cut her off. I wish you all the best with your spa venture. Really, I do. But whatever happens next, it's not my responsibility anymore. I walked out, closing the door on their stunned faces. In the elevator, my phone buzzed with a voicemail notification. Preston again. Chloe, please call me back. The money, it's worse than I thought. Your parents need to know. I deleted the message without listening to the rest. Whatever bomb was about to drop, I'd be safely clear of the blast radius. The morning sun hit my face as I stepped outside. The moving truck was waiting to follow me to my new address. To my new life. Behind me, I could hear Mom's voice floating down from my old apartment window, shrill with panic. Gilbert, call Preston right now. I want to know what's going on with that business plan. I got into my car and drove away without looking back. I need you to understand something, Preston said, stirring his coffee nervously. I didn't know how bad it was at first. I hadn't wanted to meet him at all, but after 3 days of increasingly desperate messages, curiosity won out. We sat in a busy cafe, as far from my new apartment as possible. Just tell me what's going on, I said flatly. Alyssa came to me about 2 months ago, said she had this amazing spa concept but needed help with the investor pitch deck. He wouldn't meet my eyes. The numbers looked good, really good, so I introduced her to some people. And then I saw the paperwork she gave your parents. He pulled out his phone, sliding it across the table. Compare these 2 documents. I looked at the screen. Both showed business plans for Serenity Springs Spa and Wellness, but the similarities ended there. The investor version promised a 15% return over 3 years. The version my parents got projected a 40% return in 6 months. She's running a Ponzi scheme, I said quietly. Preston nodded miserably. There's more. The property she claims to have leased for the spa? It doesn't exist. The celebrity endorsements she's advertising? All fake. And the equipment orders she showed your parents? Let me guess. Also fake? The company she claims to be ordering from went bankrupt last year. I pushed his phone back across the table, feeling sick. Why are you telling me this now? Because your parents weren't the only ones who invested their life savings. He ran a hand through his hair. I convinced my aunt to put in $50,000. My best friend did 30. If this falls apart? When, I corrected, when this falls apart. Right, when it falls apart, a lot of people are going to get hurt. And you want me to what? Fix it, save everyone. I laughed bitterly. That's not my job anymore. Chloe, please, your parents made their choice. I stood up, gathering my purse. Just like you made yours when you decided to help Alyssa scam people. I didn't know. But you knew something wasn't right, and you still helped her. I paused. By the way, how much is she paying you to bring in investors? His silence was answer enough. Outside the cafe, I pulled up the public records database on my phone, a perk of my job in financial analysis. 20 minutes of searching confirmed everything Preston said, and worse. My phone buzzed with a text from Eleanor. You need to see this. She'd sent a link to a local business news website. The headline made my stomach drop. Local investor sues wellness startup for fraud. I clicked through. The investor, Vince Dixon, had put money into one of Alyssa's previous ventures, the organic smoothie franchise. He was alleging a pattern of fraudulent behavior and seeking to freeze her assets. My phone rang. Mom, have you seen the news? She demanded without preamble. This man is trying to destroy your sister's business. You mean he's exposing her fraud? How dare you, after everything we've done for you? Everything you've done for me? My voice rose, drawing looks from passing pedestrians. You mean like taking my college fund, or expecting me to house you after you gave away your home for another scam? It's not a scam. Alyssa showed us the paperwork. Which version? I cut in. The one promising 40% returns in 6 months, or the one she showed other investors promising 15% over 3 years? Silence. Mom? My voice softened despite myself. Did you even read the documents before you signed them? Your father handled that part. Call Preston, I said. Ask him about the equipment orders. Ask him about the property lease. Ask him. She hung up. I stared at my phone, then opened my banking app. My parents' retirement fund, the money they'd pulled out for Alyssa's spa, would have hit her account by now. If I reported the fraud quickly enough, maybe some of it could be recovered. No, I said aloud, closing the app. Not my circus, not my monkeys. Another text from Eleanor. Holy shit, there's more. This Dixon guy is claiming she did the same thing in 3 other cities under different business names. I started walking. No particular destination in mind. 3 other cities, 3 other groups of investors. How long had Alyssa been doing this? My phone buzzed again. An unknown number. Is this Chloe? A man's voice asked when I answered. This is Vince Dixon. We need to talk about your sister. I stopped walking. I'm not involved in her businesses. No, but you might be the only honest person in your family, and I have information you need to hear. I thought about Preston's guilty face, about Mom's willful blindness, about all the times I'd watched Alyssa charm her way out of consequences. I'm listening, I said. Vince Dixon's office looked exactly like you'd expect for someone who'd lost $500,000 to my sister. Expensive, but sparse, like he'd had to sell most of the furniture. Your sister's real name isn't even Alyssa, he said, sliding a folder across his desk. Not legally, anyway. She changed it 5 years ago. I opened the folder. Documents spilled out. Court records, business licenses, newspaper clippings, all showing different versions of my sister, under different names, running different scams. Jessica in Seattle, Marina in Portland, Sophia in San Diego. Vince ticked them off on his fingers. Always the same pattern, always targeting family money first, then outside investors. That's impossible, I said, but my voice wavered. She was living at home. We would have known. Really? Where was she during those business trips she took? Those entrepreneur conferences that lasted weeks? My phone buzzed. Mom again. Your father can't reach his investment advisor. Please call us back. I ignored it. Why are you showing me this? Because in every city the pattern ends the same way. She disappears with the money, leaving her family to deal with the fallout. He leaned forward. And I think she's about to do it again. Another buzz. This time, a text from an unknown number. Cease and desist notice. You are hereby ordered to stop making false statements about Serenity Springs Spa and Wellness. I showed Vince the message. Ah, he smiled grimly. Right on schedule. She's laying groundwork to discredit you before you can expose her. I wasn't planning to expose anything, I protested. I just wanted out. But you know too much now. Preston talked to you, didn't he? About the different business plans? I nodded. Check your email. I pulled out my phone. There it was, a message from Alyssa's lawyer threatening legal action for malicious interference with business relationships. She's trying to silence you, Vince said, which means you're close to something she doesn't want found. My phone rang again. Dad this time. The bank won't let us access our accounts, he said when I answered. His voice sounded old, defeated. Something about a fraud alert. Where are you staying? I asked, despite myself. Your mother's sister took us in, temporarily. He paused. Alyssa's not answering her phone. Of course she wasn't. Dad, I need you to listen carefully. Go to the police. Report the fraud. Do it now before— I can't do that to your sister. He sounded horrified. She made a few mistakes, but— A few mistakes? I exploded. Dad, she's done this before. In other cities, under other names. She's not just failing at business. She's deliberately scamming people. Silence. Then, how do you know this? I'm looking at the proof right now. Police reports, court documents. He hung up. Vince was watching me with something like pity. They won't believe you. They never do, until it's too late. So why tell me at all? Because sometimes the only way to stop someone like your sister is to let them fall. Completely. And you seem like the only one strong enough to let that happen. My phone buzzed with another text. Eleanor, your sister just posted on Instagram about expanding to 3 new locations. Comments are full of people asking how to invest. I looked back at the documents on Vince's desk, at all those other families, other investors, other lives my sister had ruined. What do you need from me? I asked. Just the truth. Your statement about what you've witnessed over the years, the pattern of behavior, the financial manipulation of your parents. They'll never forgive me. Maybe not, he agreed, but you might save them from something worse. My phone buzzed one final time, a message from Alyssa herself. Back off, sis. You have no idea what you're dealing with. I stared at the threat, feeling something cold and certain settle in my chest. She was right. I hadn't known what I was dealing with. But now I did. Okay, I told Vince. Where do I sign? He pulled out a legal pad. Start from the beginning and don't leave anything out. I took a deep breath and began to write. The college fund, the graduation dinner, the constant loans that were never repaid, each small betrayal that I'd excused, each red flag I'd ignored. Outside Vince's window, storm clouds were gathering. Appropriate, I thought, for the hurricane that was about to hit my family. But this time, I wouldn't be there to help them weather it. This time, I'd be the one bringing the storm. The hotel lobby was exactly the kind of place Alyssa would choose, all gleaming marble and pretension. I spotted her at the check-in desk, designer luggage at her feet, arguing with the clerk. What do you mean my card was declined? She demanded. Try it again. I walked up behind her, phone recording in my pocket. Going somewhere. She spun around, face shifting from shock to anger to her practiced sister smile in seconds. Chloe, I was just booking a flight to Buenos Aires? I glanced at the passport on the counter. Or should I call you Marina, like they did in Portland? The smile vanished. You've been talking to Vince. And Preston, and the FBI agent who's very interested in your pattern of interstate fraud. The clerk cleared his throat. Should I call security? That won't be necessary, Alyssa said smoothly. My sister and I just need to have a private conversation. She grabbed her luggage and stalked toward a quiet corner of the lobby. I followed, making sure my phone was still recording. Whatever you think you know, she hissed. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. This was never about building a business. It was about building a convincing enough lie to steal people's money. They invested willingly. Based on fake documents and lies. I stepped closer. Did you ever intend to open the spa? Or was that just another fiction, like the equipment orders and the celebrity endorsements? Something shifted in her eyes, the mask slipping to reveal something colder underneath. You want the truth? She laughed, ugly and sharp. Fine. No, I was never going to open that stupid spa, just like I was never going to run that smoothie franchise or that boutique or any of it. Why? Because this is easier. Do you know how exhausting it is watching you be the responsible one? Perfect Chloe, with her real job and her boring life. While you were out destroying people's lives? They destroyed themselves. All those greedy investors thinking they'd get rich quick. Mom and Dad throwing money at every scheme because they couldn't admit their precious baby girl was a fraud. They gave you everything, I said quietly. Their savings, their house. And they'll give me more once this blows over. They always do. She smirked. They'll probably blame you for trying to ruin my life. Poor jealous Chloe, always competing with her successful sister. I pulled out my phone, stopping the recording. Want to bet? The color drained from her face. You wouldn't. I already did. Vince's lawyers have a copy. So does the FBI. And in about 30 seconds, so will Mom and Dad. She lunged for my phone. I stepped back, hitting send on the email I'd queued up. "You bitch!" She swung her designer purse at my head. I ducked, and the movement sent papers spilling across the marble floor. Fake IDs, multiple passports, a stack of cash. The hotel security guard who'd been watching us finally moved in. "Is there a problem here?" "No problem," I said calmly. "My sister was just leaving. Though you might want to call the police, I believe they're looking for her." "You'll regret this," Alyssa spat as the guard collected her scattered documents. "They'll never believe you over me." My phone buzzed. Mom's number. I answered on speaker. "Hi, Mom." "We just got your email," she said. Her voice sounded strange, hollow. "The recording. I can explain," Alyssa called out. "Mom, she's trying to frame me." "That's your voice," Dad said. He must have been on the line too. "Those things you said about us, about the investors." "Daddy, please." "The FBI agent is here," Mom cut in. "He's showing us, oh God, all those other cities, all those other names. I'm your daughter." Alyssa was crying now, but I recognized the tears. Performance, not remorse. "You can't let them. You're under arrest," a new voice said. 2 police officers had arrived, handcuffs ready. "You have the right to remain silent." I watched them lead her away, still screaming about family loyalty and frame jobs. The hotel guests were staring, phones out, probably posting about the drama. "Chloe?" Mom's voice was small. "Are you still there?" "I'm here. We should have listened to you. All those years." She broke down sobbing. "I'll call you later," I said, and hung up. Outside, they were putting Alyssa in a police car. Our eyes met through the window. For a moment, I saw something real in her face, not anger or manipulation, but fear. Then she was gone, and I was alone in the autumn sunshine, feeling nothing but tired. My phone buzzed one last time. "Eleanor. You okay?" "No," I typed back, "but I will be." I walked away from the hotel, leaving behind the wreckage of my family's illusions. It wasn't the revenge I'd planned, but maybe it was the revenge we'd all needed. The harsh light of truth, burning away years of lies. "They're broke," Eleanor said, scanning the paperwork spread across my kitchen counter. "Like, completely broke." "I know." I poured more wine into our glasses. "The FBI agent said Alyssa managed to transfer most of the investor money offshore before they caught her. They're still trying to trace it." "What about your parents' savings?" "Gone, along with their house equity, their retirement accounts." I took a long sip. "They're staying with my aunt, but that can't last forever." My phone lit up with another call from Mom. I let it go to voicemail, like I had for the past week. "You can't avoid them forever," Eleanor said gently. "Watch me." I pulled out a thick manila envelope. "Besides, I have one last thing to send them." "What's that?" "A complete accounting." I opened the envelope, revealing pages of spreadsheets. Every dollar they borrowed from me over the years, every investment they pushed me to make in Alyssa's schemes, every bill I covered while they funneled money to her, with interest. That's thorough. I'm a financial analyst. Thorough is what I do. I traced a finger down the final total. Almost $200,000. Jesus Christ. And that's not counting emotional costs, or career opportunities I passed up because they needed me nearby to clean up Alyssa's messes. My phone buzzed again. Dad this time. "Your mother's not eating," his voicemail said later. "She just sits there, reading those articles about Alyssa, about Marina, Jessica, whatever her real name is. Please call us." I deleted the message. "You know what the worst part is?" I told Eleanor. "Part of me still feels guilty, like I'm the bad daughter for not rushing in to save them again." "That's because they programmed you to feel responsible for their choices." Eleanor topped off our wines. "But you're not responsible. You never were." My doorbell rang. I tensed, but it was just the courier I'd arranged. Sign here, he said, handing me a tablet. I signed, then gave him the manila envelope. Delivery confirmation required. After he left, Eleanor raised an eyebrow. That's kind of cold. So was taking my college fund. I checked my phone, 3 more missed calls. Besides, they need to understand what their choices cost, not just them, but me. 2 hours later, Mom called again. This time, I answered. $200,000? She was crying. How could it be so much? You tell me. You're the ones who kept asking for it. We were trying to help your sister. No, I cut her off. You were enabling a con artist and making me pay for it. We'll pay you back, Dad said. He must have been on speaker. Somehow we'll... With what money? The money Alyssa stole? The house you sold? I took a deep breath. I didn't send that accounting to demand repayment. I sent it so you'd understand why I'm done. Done? Mom's voice cracked. What do you mean, done? I mean, I'm not bailing you out this time. I'm not offering my spare room, or my savings, or my emotional energy. I'm just done. But we're your parents. Yes, you are. And I love you. I felt tears starting, but kept my voice steady. But love isn't a blank check. It's not an excuse for what you did to me, or what you let Alyssa do to others. Silence. The FBI wants us to testify, Dad said finally. Against our own daughter. She's not just your daughter. She's a criminal who hurt people. Lots of people. I wiped my eyes. And she'll keep hurting people if someone doesn't stop her. How did we not see it? Mom whispered. All those years. Because you didn't want to see it. And I couldn't make you. My phone buzzed with a text. A news alert. Spa scam suspect escapes custody during transport. I wasn't even surprised. I have to go, I told my parents. The police will probably want to talk to you again soon. Chloe, wait. I hung up and showed Eleanor the alert. Well, shit, she said. Think she'll try to contact them? Probably. She knows they're her weak spot. I pulled up my email and started composing a message to the FBI agent. But this time, they'll have to choose, help her hide or help catch her. And if they choose wrong? I hit send on the email, then poured the last of the wine. Then that's their choice, and their consequences. I raised my glass. To being done. Eleanor clinked her glass against mine. To being free. My phone buzzed one final time. A text from an unknown number. You should have minded your own business, sis. I blocked the number without replying. Whatever came next, it wasn't my problem anymore. I was finally, truly done. The morning sun streamed through my studio apartment windows as I sipped my coffee, enjoying the silence. No crisis calls, no family drama, just peace. My phone buzzed. Eleanor's daily check-in. Still alive? Still alive, I texted back. Still free. The news had been full of Alyssa's escape, but I'd stopped following it. My parents had chosen to cooperate with the FBI this time, finally understanding what their daughter really was. Last I heard, they were staying in a witness protection program until she was caught. My doorbell rang. A courier with a thick envelope. Sign here, he said. Inside was a letter from Vince's law firm. They'd recovered some of the stolen funds, not much, but enough to start paying back investors. And since I'd helped break the case, they were offering me a consulting position, helping other families spot similar investment scams. My phone rang. Eleanor. Have you seen the Reddit post? She asked without preamble. What Reddit post? Someone shared your story, the whole thing, from the family dynamics to the fraud. It's gone viral. People are calling it the Golden Child Con. I opened Reddit on my laptop. There it was. Thousands of comments, hundreds of awards. People sharing similar stories of family enablers, of siblings who could do no wrong, of parents who sacrificed everything for the wrong child. Check the top comment, Eleanor said. I scrolled up. The comment was from someone claiming to be another of Alyssa's victims. From Portland, when she was Marina. She didn't just steal my money, the comment read. She stole my identity. My whole life story became her backstory for the next con. But her sister helped me get justice. Now I'm helping others spot the signs. More comments followed, each telling similar stories. A pattern emerged, not just of Alyssa's cons, but of the family dynamics that made them possible. My doorbell rang again. This time it was Preston. "Before you slam the door," he said quickly, "I'm here to make things right." I crossed my arms. "How?" "I've been working with the FBI, tracking the money trail. We found something." He handed me a USB drive. Account numbers, passwords, everything she stole, hidden in offshore accounts. "Why give this to me?" "Because you were right. About everything." He shoved his hands in his pockets. "And because my aunt lost her house because of me. Because I helped Alyssa hurt people." I took the drive. "I'll give it to Vince's lawyers." "There's something else." Preston pulled out his phone. "An email sent from an internet cafe in Mexico this morning. Well, just read it." The email was from Alyssa. "Tell my family I'm sorry, not for the cons. Those were beautiful, but for making it so obvious. Next time they won't even know it's me." "She's still playing games," I said, deleting the email. "But I'm not playing anymore." My phone buzzed. A text from Dad. "The FBI found her, it's over." Then from Mom. "We're coming home next week. Can we talk?" I stared at the messages, feeling the weight of expectation. They wanted forgiveness, reconciliation, a return to normal. But normal was what got us here. "No," I typed back. "I'm not ready. Maybe someday, but not now." "I understand," Dad replied. "We love you." This time the words didn't feel like a manipulation. They felt like goodbye. Preston was still hovering in my doorway. "What are you going to do now?" "Live my life," I gestured to Vince's letter. "Help other families avoid what happened to mine. Write my own story." "And Alyssa? Is not my problem." I started closing the door. "Neither are you." After he left, I opened my laptop again. The Reddit thread had grown, becoming a support group for people sharing their own stories of family enablers and golden children. "You should post your side," Eleanor texted. "Help people understand they're not alone." I looked around my peaceful studio, at the life I'd built for myself, free from chaos and manipulation, at the future stretching out before me, unlimited by others' expectations. "Maybe I will," I replied. "But first, I'm going to enjoy the silence." My phone buzzed one last time. An email from an anonymous account. "Your story helped me leave my toxic family. Thank you." I smiled, feeling something settle in my chest. Not peace exactly, not forgiveness, but understanding. Sometimes the happiest ending isn't riding off into the sunset. Sometimes it's simply walking away, head held high, into a future you choose for yourself. I opened a new document and started typing. I always knew the other shoe would drop, but I didn't expect it to happen over Mom's mediocre pot roast. The story wasn't over, but this time I was writing it for myself.